Hello and welcome back to the Three-Handed Bandits channel. It's Nathan and Aiden back with another video for you today. Today we're going to be breaking down and giving you our picks and score predictions for a very interesting week 4 of football. Aiden, how are we feeling headed into this week?
Not good. These games look not. I don't know, man.
Yeah, these are scary games. I hate this week. I really if I weren't a gambling addict, I don't think I'd be betting this week of football. It's just there's some weird, gross looking games, and let's go straight into it. We're gonna be starting off with the first international series game of this NFL season, as the Atlanta Falcons and the Jacksonville Jaguars are traveling to London to face off. And for me, I do think this game is somewhat simple. I think that the Jaguars defense has at least a good enough run defense to slow down Bijan in this running game, at least enough to where Desmond Ridder is going to have to beat them through the air, which obviously their secondary and pass rush hasn't been great. But I do think that it's at least going to be able to, it's Desmond Ridder. So I'm not too worried that he's going to suddenly start picking them apart. And then offensively, I do think that the Jaguars kind of get back to more how week 1 was, where they're moving the ball a little bit better, having some better plays. And, hopefully Calvin Ridley and some of these other wide receivers don't have the drops. So I'm going for Jacksonville to win this one in London, 24-17, covering that 3-point spread.
I do agree that I think the Jacksonville is a win, but for some reason in the back of my mind, I think Atlanta makes it interesting. I mean, yes, in my opinion, the Jags are basically at home. They play in London so often. I mean, the players itself don't know it, some of them, but still, the fact that the Jags have almost a fan base growing over there for how much they play. I have them winning 17-16, and it is a low scoring. I'm not really gonna. I just had this weird ick feeling that neither of the offenses really click. I mean, obviously they're traveling across and doing it. It's for them time wise. It's gonna be weird. I think it's just on both offensive side of the ball. It's just not gonna be clicking as well as it should be. But yeah, give me the Jags. Just can't say no.
See, yeah, we both agree Jacksonville, and do remember that next week they're going against Buffalo in London as well. So this is a team that's gone to London a lot. They're going to spend 2 weeks there in London. So, I mean, if any team is used to it, Jacksonville is kind of the best shot that you have at being used to it. But now we're going to head into what is looking like it is going to be the game of the week. The Miami Dolphins are traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Aiden, what are we expecting from this game?
I'm hoping for a very high-powered offensive game. I mean, the Buffalo Bills have a solid defense, but man, the way Miami played last week, 70 points, you can't say no to that dynamic offense. And I think they didn't have Jalen Waddle in that either. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're missing their number 2 guy. He's another key piece in this offense. You're getting this guy back, and you're telling me they put that many points up? So I have 35-32 Dolphins, only because of just their hot streak they're going on. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills win this because they have a solid team, but this is the game for the Dolphins to kind of show that we are here. I mean, yeah, you put 70 points on the Broncos, but the Broncos, this is the team to beat for the Dolphins right now to kind of staple themselves in that higher tier. So give me the Dolphins covering.
See, in our preseason power rankings and every week of our power rankings so far, we've had the Dolphins above the Buffalo Bills. And so I do think the Dolphins are the better team, but also I think Vegas might be onto something. This kind of reminds me of, I think it was last year when Jimmy Garoppolo went down. Brock Purdy was going to make his first start. I think it was last year. And the 49ers at home on Monday Night Football were like a 3-point favorite. And it was like they were out, I think, Trent Williams and their starting quarterback, yet they were the favorite. So to me, that just kind of seems like there's a weird something's going on. This Bills defense has looked a lot better with Sean McDermott kind of being, more in control of it as their main defensive play caller now. And I do think that the Bills defense is geared to stopping the pass. And I do think they have good coverage linebackers who can be able to take away the middle of the field. Kind of a lot better than the Dolphins. I mean, obviously faced against Denver. And I do think this team is going to tackle a lot better than Denver did. And so I really think that we could see a poor game from Tua. Tua obviously has great anticipation. But when you do have great anticipation like that, sometimes you're just going to throw bad passes or interceptions just because you're trusting what you see and what the offense has told you to believe is going to be there. And I do think that they have the good, covered linebackers to kind of take advantage of that. And so I'm actually going to go with Buffalo to win this game. And I have them winning 31-28. So, I mean, that is covering the spread at 2.5 there. But either way, I think it's going to be a close game. Josh Allen's played a lot better than the last 2 weeks than he has, week one. But I think we're going to have two great offenses, two good defenses. And at the end of the day, I'm just going with Josh Allen at home. If the Dolphins won this, I would not be surprised in the least. But I think Vegas knows what they're doing. And now we're going to transition from the best game of the week to arguably the worst, as the Denver Broncos are heading to the Chicago Bears. This is two of the bottom. These are just straight up the two worst teams that we had in our power rankings. As I said, though, I think that, Georgia might end up being a better team than the Chicago Bears. And so if that gives you any indication of how I think this game's going to go, I think Denver's going to win. I think it's not going to be super close. Obviously, if you're the defense that allows 70 points, if you don't come into next week playing like your fucking pants are on fire, then you should not be a professional player. But I think this defense is just going to play a lot better. But this, the Broncos offense hasn't been horrible. Last year was great defense, bad offense. This year it seems like it might be closer to kind of switching on its head like that. I just don't think that the Bears have the horses in any way to keep up offensively or stop them on defense. So I'm actually going Denver 31-17. Until the Bears prove to me that they're a legit NFL team, I don't think that they have any reason to cover any sort of spread or win any sort of game.
No, I completely agree. I'm even going to put this as a lock because I am in so much faith in this Broncos offense more than the Bears at all. Like the Bears, it's a dumpster fire watching them. I mean, the whole let Justin Fields do his thing. He did his thing, and he looked like crap. It was awful to watch. I think I'm leaning towards women's basketball more than watching the Bears this year, and that's saying a lot because both are terrible to watch. I have 26-13. I completely agree with the Broncos, just laying waste to them. I have the Bears scoring one touchdown. I'm not giving them total outage, but scoring one touchdown. But it's not going to be a pretty game for them at all. I think the Broncos come in, like you said, after getting scored 70 points on, they're fighting for their jobs, basically, in my mind. They're like, shoot, we're making all this money. We got to show it, in my mind. At least that's what Sean Payton should be telling these guys. So give me the Broncos and make that a lock for me too.
Okay, see, I'm erring on the side that's going to be a little bit more higher scoring. There's definitely a world where this team still can tackle and DJ Moore and Justin Fields have a day, but yeah, this Bears team sucks. It's just they're the worst team in football, so they're probably not going to win this game. We're going to go ahead and swiftly transition to our next game. The Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. I think we both were struggling with what we wanted to do here. I'm going to make you pick first.
So the reason I am doing this is only because I agree with Vegas always knows something, man. Vegas wins for a reason. And for the line to come out at -3 and only be shift 1 point when over 70% of the money is on Baltimore, having that much in the favor, you would think that it would be in Baltimore's favor. But I think Vegas is on to something, having Cleveland at the -2. I think Baltimore can backdoor cover, can really try to squeak it out. I have the Browns winning 23-21. It's actually a push on the cover. I am not confident in that as I'm talking at all. But I'm going with the Browns only because they're at home. They look better than I thought they would last week, and then the Ravens have too many injuries, so it's kind of weird with them. But they also know how to win with a lot of injuries. So I'm not. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm utter loss. Just go.
So right now, I have written down Cleveland 23-20, but I just have this weird nagging feeling now that I think Baltimore's gonna find a way to win this. But I don't know. This Browns defense, I think if you talk about the top three defenses in the league, I think 49ers is clearly up there. But I think the Browns might be number two. Then you got like the Dallas, Jets, Chiefs defenses looked really good. But this Browns defense is scary. This front for this Browns team is really, really scary. And especially with no Ronnie Stanley, it's going to be a really tough ask to try to find a way to stop, Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith. And so I do think that Cleveland defensively is going to be able to slow down this Ravens offense. And then the question to me is really going to be, what kind of version of this Browns offense do we get? Do we get that version against Tennessee that scored 27 and looked really good, or do we get that version that went against Pittsburgh and allowed 2 defensive touchdowns and just wasn't crazy great? Just wasn't great. So I don't know. I really don't know. I don't trust Deshaun Watson, and obviously they don't have Nick Chubb, so it's just, what can we expect from this offense? No clue. Back to another similar score prediction. I said 23-20. So we kind of are right in the same boat on what's going to happen. If I were you, don't put your money anywhere near this game. Just completely avoid it. And then we're going to head into the next game as the Cincinnati Bengals head to the Tennessee Titans. Oh, I don't know what I want to do. I'm going to make you go first again.
All right. In my mind, it's kind of clear. I mean, Titans, I'm losing faith in Ryan Tannehill. He is very inconsistent. He's up and down. The Bengals defense, in my opinion, played very, very well against the Rams. I'm going with the Bengals, then the cover, the win, 27-16. I think that the Bengals get the ball moving. I mean, last year they started off 0-2, and they kind of picked up speed offensively, and their defense looked really solid against the Rams. And I'm not going to lie to you, Matthew Stafford's been looking way better than Ryan Tannehill has. And they played good against the run. The big question is for Tennessee is whether or not Ryan Tannehill shows up. Because they're going to run the ball pretty solid, obviously, because you have Derrick Henry in the backfield. But their big if de facto is going to be that man under center. If he can throw the ball straight or at all, because I don't know. So just give me the Bengals.
I'm pivoting. I originally had Tennessee down. I switched to Cincinnati. I'm sticking with the Titans. I'm going back to the Titans. Dude, I don't know. So here's the thing. So I think if Tennessee wants to win this game, they're going to need to score a defensive touchdown. I think, to me, that is a guarantee. I originally had Tennessee. Obviously, Joe Burrow has not looked like Joe Burrow. He's not able to get the same drive and push on the ball. He doesn't have the strongest arm. Mahomes can, as we saw in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, while completely parallel to the ground in the air, he's able to just absolutely throw the ball wherever he wants. Joe Burrow has one of the weaker arms in the NFL of starting quarterbacks, and he really needs to be able to set his back foot in the ground and drive to get the ball places. And obviously, he has not been able to do that. That's why he's been so poor this year, and this offense hasn't looked the same. And I don't think he's going to be able to throw the ball. I don't think, just a week later, after not being able to do it, he's suddenly going to be able to do it. And with this weaker offensive line, I think this Titans defense and defensive line is really going to get after it. Volson in the interior has been horrible. And so if he's going against Jeffrey Simmons, that's Jeffrey Simmons eating his lunch all day. And so I really just don't think the Bengals are going to have a productive game on offense. Now, the main reason that I switched it over is because the Titans are going to be without Traylon Burks. And their win against the Chargers, part of the reason they were able to win that is because they got some big explosive plays out of him. And obviously not having them, he is their main shot at explosive plays since his offensive line has not been able to spring Derrick Henry loose a whole lot. And so that's obviously where I'm worried about the Titans is this offensive line is poor, and the Bengals have a solid front. Their pass rush is good, not great, but they do have a really good run defense unit. So I think this is going to be just a gross, low-scoring game. But I'm going to go with a fired-up Tennessee Titans at home, and I'm going to say 16-13 Tennessee wins. What's the line for this game? The over-under is at 41. I feel pretty decent about this game going under that. I don't see either of these teams putting up a whole lot of points. If I was going to bet on this game, I'd go the under. But, yeah, I'm going Tennessee. That is all I can say.
You and your Tennessee, it's hand in hand.
Hey, you know what? I was wrong against the Saints, but I was right against the Chargers, trusting them. I was right for the Browns, flipping against them. Hopefully I'm right this time, switching back towards them. And the last 3 weeks, as I'm saying the picks, switched. So maybe I just got some good juju. But it's going to be a gross game regardless. And the next game, the LA Rams heading to the Indianapolis Colts. This game's a pick 'em for a reason. I have no clue. I had Indy written down. I've switched it over to the Rams. And I want to switch back. I do. I don't know. I will say DeForest Buckner has not practiced at all this week. So I think with no DeForest Buckner, if he's not playing, I think he's listed as questionable right now. If he's not playing, then I really would lean for the Rams. And so since it looks like he probably might not play, I'm going to go for the Rams. This front seven for the Colts has been really solid, but part of that is because DeForest Buckner. And, with DeForest Buckner, I think this Colts front seven would be able to do a good job of stopping the run. However, Gus Bradley has been one of these coaches who has his scheme, and he does not stray a whole lot from it. So I really wouldn't be surprised if Sean McVay and this Rams offense were really able to hit some of the common things that kind of attack these cover three schemes. But I do think that Indianapolis, on the other hand, getting Anthony Richardson back and having Shane Steichen is going to be able to move the ball pretty well and actually have a productive day on offense. But at the end of the day, I think no DeForest Buckner. I think that's a huge piece for the Colts to lose. So I'm going to go with the Rams to go into Indianapolis and win 25-22.
I'm with Colts. I can't say no. The Rams, personally, they did not look good last week. It was, I don't know, they were going hot, and then they just hit a wall. And I was kind of surprised. I mean, since he doesn't have a fantastic defense, but it's a solid front, and like you said, the Colts have been playing solid front defense, and I think that's just going to be a copy and paste, basically, of games. I mean, I think the Rams will do a little bit more than they did last game. So I have the Colts winning 24-20, a very similar score to what yours is. But the Colts have been kind of hot. I've been liking how their offense has been flowing, even when Anthony Richardson was out last week, him coming back, giving that versatility back in the backfield. I think they'll be a solid offensively. It's just, like you said, DeForest Buckner being out will hurt them, but when I looked at the game, it being even, I gotta go home. The home guys gotta win. Give me the Colts. I'm not gonna look at this anymore because I'm scared to change my mind. Go to the next game, please.
Okay, before we do, quick little player prop lock for you. Tutu Atwell, first touchdown score. But next game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading to the New Orleans Saints. So 3 weeks in a row, I've picked the team to go against the Saints as a lock. And this week, guess what, Aiden? I'm actually picking the Saints. To me, Tampa's offensive line has been really, really poor. And while I don't necessarily think that the Saints have a great pass rush to really get after Baker Mayfield, I just don't think that they're going to get more than like 30 rushing yards. Like, I really think that they're going to have to move the ball through the air for Tampa if they want to win this game. But traditionally in these matchups, Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans, Marshawn Lattimore kind of tends to get in his head and win. And so I think that's going to be a fun little matchup to kind of watch. But I just don't think the Buccaneers offense is going to be able to move the ball super, super well. As I said in our power rankings video, this Buccaneers team is super, super matchup dependent, in my opinion. And while, the Saints don't have some crazy elite defense, that front is a solid unit. And I do think that even with Jameis, I think the Saints are going to be okay, I guess. I don't think their offense is going to take a huge hit. Obviously, Derek Carr had his best half of football as a Saint, and then got injured, and it doesn't seem like he's going to play, which, granted, he still could. I do think that the Buccaneers have enough talent to at least slow down the Saints. But this is going to be a gross, low-scoring game to me in New Orleans. But I'm going for New Orleans at home to win. Going 16-9 with a late touchdown to win it. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, gross, ugly game. What do you feel?
Low scoring, I don't feel as much. For some reason in my mind, every time I see the Tampa Bay and Bucs games, they're always playing really tough, but there's always end up this random, long, not scoring drive, just long plays, 55 yards. You're like, oh, gosh, dang. It's and then the rest of the plays, it's 2 yard, 2 yard, 2 yard. There's just huge plays from basically just to get touchdowns, quick flipping the ball, the exact thing that happened again, and then nothing that happened for three, go arounds for both ends of the ball. And I'm going with the Saints. Obviously, I can't say no to the Saints. I have 24-23, only because I think it's going to be close. I think Tampa Bay's going to oh my God. I might change this. I don't know. No, I'm keeping with the Saints. I got to keep them. I'm just saying in my mind, the one time you pick the Saints is when they're going to lose. That's what's happening in my mind, because you've been hammering against them so much that it's scaring me to go flipsy on them. But in my opinion, Jameis Winston, he's solid, but what he does is he likes to throw the ball into bad. He just reads it really wrong. So he'll throw a lot of interceptions, but he'll sling the ball. Basically, he'll have a lot of yards, but 2 to 3 interceptions. And that's why in my mind it's gonna be a high scoring, mostly to where there'll be a quick drive where they score off 2 big plays, and then the next time they go out, they throw an interception to give them the ball back, basically in red zone. That's what's happening in my mind. That's why I have it high scoring at 24-23. But like I said, give me the Saints. It's another weird game.
Yeah, it's I hate this week. We're going to go swiftly on to the next game as the Washington Commanders travel to Philly. I think this is a game we can kind of blow right past. I have Philly winning 26-16. Technically, it's covering that spread. I don't know if I'd necessarily bet that, though, because, there's a chance for backdoor cover. But, Sam Howell looked okay the first 2 weeks, but really got exposed against the Bills. And I just don't know if this Commanders offense is going to look even close to good against his Eagles defense. And while the Eagles offense hasn't been quite as explosive, electric, and dynamic as it was last year, they've still been really good. And while the Commanders do have a solid defense, I just don't know if they're going to be able to slow them down. I mean, this offensive line and offense is still a bit of a juggernaut, even though not quite to the same extent as it was last year. So in the game that I do think is going to be a little bit closer to the lowest scoring side, I have 26-16. But yeah, as I said, it's going to be a lower scoring game. I would not touch this spread.
In my mind, I think it's bread and butter, Eagles covering and everything. But the only thing I see happening is that the Commanders defensively hold them a little bit in the beginning. But the problem is, in my mind, the Eagles' offense can be on the field so much. It's going to tear down this defense. Because basically, in my mind, the Commanders are going to come out 3 and out, 4 and out, 5 and out. Quick, they're not going to be able to do anything with this amazing Eagles defense again with offensively. And then they're going to flip. And they have a good defense, but you can't. It's rocking a hard place. You can't hold it forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had 34-17. I just have the Eagles just wiping the floor with them. Like the start of the game in my mind to be like, okay, Commanders have something, and then that Eagles run game is going to tear through them. They're just going to keep running the ball 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, just like little by little breaking down this team mentally in their defense. So that's why I had it at the high scoring game. It's them just basically scoring on every play, on every drive that they have in my mind.
Yeah. And then we'll head to the next game. The Minnesota Vikings head to the Carolina Panthers, the second of the 0-3 Bowls. And to me, 4-point spread is pretty low. Obviously, the Panthers are getting Bryce Young back, which honestly, I think with Andy Dalton, I'd be more keen to pick them. But this defense has a couple people that are going to be down. And, this Vikings team could very possibly be 3-0 if it wasn't for some of the most insane turnover, bad luck that we've seen in almost ever. And so obviously they lost I think it's 9 fumbles in 3 games or something crazy like that. And so I think what they did all practice this week is, all right, guys, everybody, we're going to learn how to hold a football high and tight. You know what I mean? And so I think once the Vikings stop turning the ball over, there's no reason that this offense shouldn't, as I said, part of the reason they've lost is because they keep giving the ball up in compromising spots and not scoring when they definitely could. And so I think it's going to turn around. I think Minnesota's offense is going to explode off the gate. And obviously, Bryce Young has struggled against the blitz in the NFL, and in college is something he was not great with either. All Brian Flores and the Vikings are going to do is send blitzes. And so I think Bryce Young is going to have a horrible game. I think the Vikings offense is going to look amazing. So I have 31-13 and a very easy, breezy cover for the Minnesota Vikings.
I agree with the Vikings 100%, them covering and all. I think the Panthers have some success, but not a lot. The only reason I have them anywhere close is that the Vikings on that, like basically the last drive, they're just like, all right, we don't care. We're up by more than 2 scores. You can score the last one. We don't care. We'll take care of it. So I have 28-21. I have them obviously covering. But everything you said, I completely agree with. The Vikings offense is too good against this poor Panthers team. Panthers have not they look better with Andy Dalton, like you said, and Bryce Young coming back from injury. I don't know how I feel about that. I wouldn't be surprised if Bryce Young does so bad they go, you know what, you're still injured. Get out of there and put in Andy Dalton to see if he makes some magic. Because Bryce Young. Yeah, Bryce Young in my mind is it's going to take a long time for him to really accommodate himself to the NFL. And Andy Dalton's a great guy to kind of just mix in there to get him Bryce Young his confidence back to look at what he's seeing. So no doubt in my mind, Vikings. I will be utterly surprised if they do lose, but it'll be in Vikings fashion. It'll probably be with 3 turnovers and the final drive with them shooting something in the foot again.
Vikings gonna Vikings, but yeah, it's the worst secondary versus the worst receiving core, so it'll be a game. We'll say that. And the next up, we're gonna head to the Pittsburgh Steelers as they're heading to Houston to go against the Texans. I've kind of been back and forth about this. Actually, I haven't really been back and forth about this game. I will say I do think the Texans. There's definitely a real shot that they do win this game, but I am gonna go with the Panthers to win. CJ Stroud has been
Panthers.
Really. That's the Panthers. I meant Steelers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I got you.
So I do think CJ Stroud has looked really good. He's, played at an NFL caliber level. He's definitely been the best rookie thus far. And he's, looked like a top half quarterback. But I don't think he's in any danger of being elite. I think he's, always going to be in that kind of 10 to 16 range. And that's good. But when you have a better offense around you and, the Texans really struggled against the Colts, who had a decent front. And, against the Jaguars, they had really good success, not a great front. And against Baltimore, they had, not a great game either against a somewhat good front. But, CJ Stroud hasn't gone against a defense like this. No Laramie Tunsil. And then their backup, Josh Jones, who's been a really good 6-man for offensive lines. He's also out. And so how are y'all going to block Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt? I really don't think they are. I think there's a good chance this is where we get kind of the first, turnover of CJ Stroud. I don't think he's thrown a pick yet. I think this is the game he does it. But, the Steelers offense hasn't been great. Matt Canada, I think, is the worst offensive coordinator in the league, bar none. And so I don't think that the, Steelers are really going to run away with it just because I don't know how many points their offense are really going to be capable of putting up. So I think it's going to be a somewhat close game, but I have Pittsburgh winning 28-24. And I'm going to call – who's a random defensive player on this team? There's going to be a defensive touchdown in this game. I'm going to go Pat Pete pick 6. Calling my shot on that. But 28-24, Steelers win. What are you expecting?
I'm expecting actually just a disgusting offensive game. Awful. Just on both sides. Because in my opinion, the Texans defense is a young, surprisingly, sneakily good defense. I've loved the way they've looked. And against Pittsburgh offense, who's been struggling to make anything really happen, they have no run game. They're putting all their faith in Kenny Pickett, who's not looked great. So, and then obviously the Pittsburgh defense is a powerhouse. They're crazy good. And I don't know why. The only reason I'm going with Texans is because I've liked their offense a little bit more than I have the Pittsburgh offense. I have a low-scoring game in 16-13. In my opinion, just a weird game to watch. I mean, this whole week, like you said, I don't like this week. This might be the week of unders. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of games where I can see it being disgusting to watch. But for some reason, the Texans are calling. I mean, why not the Texans? Give me them.
All righty, fair enough. Now the next game we're going to head into is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders heading to the LA Chargers. What are you expecting from this game?
With the Raiders not having a Garoppolo because he is completely out, correct? I don't know. Is it Brian Hoyer, right, playing?
Don't think Garoppolo has been ruled out.
It hasn't been ruled out yet. In my mind, he is out of this game. That's why I am so confident in the Chargers, because if they have Brian Hoyer or Aiden O'Connell in, I don't see any sparks happening, anything basically. Chargers, I mean, I don't know why I had the Raiders so close. I have 27-20. Who knows? Just give me the Chargers, covering, winning. The Raiders are another one of those teams to where unless they show me that they can really get in these close games, I'm not going to have faith in them. I mean, their offense is their bright spot, and not having the guy supposedly at the helm to help with that, your general, he's questionable. I don't know. So in my mind, Brian Hoyer starts this game and craps the bed.
Well, so to me, I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to play because, otherwise if they thought Brian Hoyer was going to play, this would be like a 10-point spread. Mm-hmm. So I think Vegas at least believes Jimmy Garoppolo is going to play. And so I'm actually going to have my first lock of the week contingent on Jimmy Garoppolo playing. And I think the Raiders are actually going to win this football game. This is the definition of a TRAP. This is a trap game. Obviously, Chargers were 0-3. They were 0-2. And this was a big win against the Vikings last week to not get to 0-3. But after this week, they have to go against the Dallas Cowboys and Kansas City Chiefs as a not great coaching staff. I don't think they have the this week, next week, let's focus on the next game type of mentality. And so as, I think a team that's not well coached, I think it's a team that's going to fall for this trap. And I don't think this Chargers defense is going to be able to slow down the Raiders offense. I think Josh Jacobs is going to have a really productive game going against the Chargers defense that still cannot defend the run. And so I think that the Raiders are really going to be able to have a chance to move the ball. I don't think they have any shot of stopping Devontae Adams or Jacoby Myers. And I think they'll be able to run the ball with, Josh Jacobs really well. And then, the Chargers always find a way to charger. And so my score prediction for this game is actually going to be 27-26 with the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to go missed field goal as the Chargers method of losing this game. But yet again, this is contingent on Jimmy Garoppolo playing. If Brian Hoyer's, if Brian Hoyer does end up starting, then I don't want to touch this game. But if Jimmy Garoppolo is in there, the Raiders will win this football game. The next up, we're going to head to the Dallas Cowboys as they're going against the New England Patriots coming down to Jerry World. I'm going with another upset. I'm going with New England to win. Dak Prescott has not looked good. I think this offense is bland and uninspiring. And I think, Bill Belichick is going to know exactly what to do to stop it. So until Dak Prescott proves to me that he's a good quarterback this year, I just don't think this offense is going to be really good behind this very mediocre play calling and offense. And then, the Patriots like to get the ball out quick, and they like to run the ball. And, if you have these long developing plays, Micah Parsons is going to get after you. But if you're getting the ball out instantly every single play, he's not going to be able to have as much of an impact. He's not the best run defender. The way to attack this team the last couple of years has been kind of running the ball pretty efficiently. And so I think that New England has a recipe to go into Dallas and beat Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys. So I have the Patriots winning 20-17. To me, that 6.5 point spread's a little high. If it was like a 3-point spread, it'd be a little bit iffy, but I think New England's going to be able to be competitive and win this game.
I completely agree. I have the Patriots winning as well in the upset. It went down to me, in my opinion, is that their defenses are both solid, obviously, and the Patriots' offense has been looking a little bit better, in my opinion, than Dallas's. Dallas, again, I'll keep preaching it, on paper, one of the best teams. Problem is, in my mind, is that coach, Mike McCarthy. And when you're coming down to this game, who I'm going to coaching-wise, I can't go against one of the best ever in Bill Belichick. He is a genius when it comes into these games where basically seeing this spread at 6.5, the Cowboys, again, I think they have it, in my opinion. And I think the Patriots come in very similar to the Cardinals did and pop them in the mouth a little bit. Give the Cowboys kind of a taste of their own medicine. And, in my opinion, this game is going to shift the tide on everyone thinking Mike McCarthy's a good coach. When the Patriots wins this game, they're going to be like, oh, my God, Mike McCarthy is not him. Why, and everyone's going to be thinking, oh, it's not the team anymore, it's the coaching. Because they have all the weapons to do that. I mean, yes, no Trayvon Diggs because the season injury, but they still have a great, great roster. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas won, but I got to go with the Patriots. They've been playing solid. They've been playing with grit. 21-20, very close game, but I got to go with the Pats.
All righty, and then the last game in the late afternoon slate, Arizona Cardinals heading to the 49ers. Vegas does not believe in the Cardinals, but I do. I think they're going to keep this game at least competitive for a little bit, but I do think eventually the Niners are going to pull away. And so I have the Niners winning 30-20. I mean, obviously, until they prove otherwise, they are the best team in the NFL. But this Cardinals team has legit been a good team. Obviously, with Joshua Dobbs and, not a whole lot of offensive talent. I'm not expecting them to win a bunch of games or to be a true playoff threat. But, I mean, they've been a solid defense. They've played really fucking hard. And their offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing, they have Drew Petzing. He's impressed me. I think he's a guy who's definitely stock up. And against Dallas, part of the reason they're able to beat Dallas is they did a lot of dropbacks, trying to find a way to get the quarterback away from Micah Parsons, getting him to have some more time to throw the ball, but also getting the ball out quickly. Obviously, it's a little bit easier with the Cowboys because you really have to worry about just Micah Parsons. The Niners have Nick Bosa and then 70 other really good defensive linemen to worry about. But I do think that they're going to do a good job of kind of trying to avoid Nick Bosa getting the ball out quick. And while I don't think they're really going to threaten to win this game, I do think they're at least going to keep it closer than that 14-point spread.
I agree. I have the Cardinals covering as well. Obviously, 49ers are going to win this game, in my opinion. They have the crown right now, that top seed. they're just going to, unless I don't see any holes, like through the coaching, offense, defense, it is just clean cut. And they're just kind of a bulldozer, just going through, chugging, not bulldozer. Let's say a train. They're just chugging along, not even going uphill. They're just a straight line train that no one's going to be able to really stop. I do think that Arizona will be able to slow down or surprise some people. I do have them. I have the 49ers winning 28-17, very similar score to what you have. But the Cardinals, in my mind, they're one of those teams to where they're going to keep it interesting, but they're going to lose because they need the draft basically to help them rebuild, because they have a very they're playing they're playing very well, surprisingly well. They obviously beat the Cowboys, punched them in the mouth. Love to use that phrase for teams that are undervalued, and they've been looking solid. With Kyler Murray coming back, maybe they're in a position they might be able to make a playoff run. Who knows? But in my mind right now, I think they keep losing these really good games, and then next year is their year to where they can really get that going. So
yeah, it's going to be good culture building losses where you play tough, kind of like how the Texans to me have been the last kind of couple of years, where they've played tough defense but still lost games. I think we're in store for that. Let's try to kind of blow through these next games really quickly. Sunday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to New York to go against the Jets. It's an 8.5-point spread. I feel like the Jets' defense is really good, and they're going to do a good job of slowing down this Chiefs' offense. The issue is with Zach Wilson, your quarterback, going against the Chiefs, who have had a really good defense this year. I just don't think they're going to be able to do much. So I think it's going to be low scoring. But I have Kansas City winning 20-9. They're a top 3 team in the league. The Jets with Zach Wilson are really, really bad. So I do think they'll be able to, limit this Jets offense a lot. But the Jets, I think, are also going to be able to limit them as well. But Mahomes and Kelsey is a lot better than Zach Wilson.
All right. All I got to say is one thing about this game. Taylor Swift. She's at the game. Chiefs are winning 23-13. There's nothing bright side about Jets other than their defense. And like you said, Chiefs are going to be solid. So there's nothing more to say about this game.
Exactly. And then Monday Night Football, I'm going for my second lock of the week. As a game that originally started as a pick'em, the line has shifted toward the Seahawks, but I'm going for the Giants to win this at home. It's the Monday Night Home Dog. But not only that, the Giants haven't played since Thursday. So they've had almost 2 full weeks to prepare for this game. But, if you told Giants fans at week 3 they'd be 1-2 after losing to the Cowboys and Niners, they wouldn't be upset. They wouldn't. And the Seattle Seahawks don't have a defense remotely close to the Cowboys or 49ers. They have a weak pass rush, and the secondary can be picked apart in zone. So I think Brian Daboll and the Giants are going to have a really good game plan. And I do think that they could kind of, struggle defending the Seahawks passing offense. Kayvon Thibodeau, Leonard Williams, Sexy Dexy, I do think they have enough talent to get after this weaker Seahawks offensive line, to slow down Geno Smith a little bit. And I think the Giants are going to win this game. I think these teams are very similar, and kind of my overall kind of view on them. And so give me Brian Daboll, who thinks a really great coach, having 2 weeks to game plan how to attack a defense. That's a scary thought. And so for me, I'm going the Giants to win 26-25 in a very close game. But I think they're going to kind of have a really solid game and prove some people wrong, that they're not some kind of bottom cellar dweller type of team.
I am doing a lock as well, but it is the exact opposite of what you're saying. The Seahawks, I'm mostly going off offense. That's in my mind. The Giants' offense has been so up and down. I can't see them winning this game, in my opinion. I have the Seahawks winning 32-24. I have, like you said, I think it's going to be a very good offensive game for the Giants, but I think it should be an even better offensive game for the Seahawks in that pass game. But I also think, for some reason, Kenneth Walker's going to get 2 rushing touchdowns with 26 yards. It's going to be something stupid. But the Seahawks passing offense, it's too good, in my opinion. I do think they'll maybe get to Geno Smith a couple of times, but 32-24 is my solid guess. This is what my gut was telling me. I just kind of didn't really look past this. Give me the Seahawks with my lock.
Yeah, so to me, this game opened as a pick'em for a reason. I think that, I mean, obviously, I think I'm biased towards the Giants. I keep believing them, even though they've kind of hurt me thus far. But let's see, I kind of want to look. 90% of the money is on Seattle to win, and 80% of it is for them to cover.
Oh, I don't like that. I'm
Too
gonna
late.
stay
It's
with
already
it.
your. It's
I'm
already
gonna
your
I'm,
lock.
I'm gonna
All
stay
right.
with it. I'm gonna stay with it, but that's disgusting.
But yeah, that is going to be everything. Before we head out of here, is there anything you would like to add on?
I'm not prepared for this scary week ahead. That's about it.
Good luck to every and all bettors. If you stuck around for this long, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Thank y'all very much for watching. We'll be back with some more videos for you very, very soon. I guess.